Hello dear friends. The sun has just risen. The early morning sunlight through the leaves stretched over bumpy dirt road that Tu Diep is following. On the shoulder, she is a bunch of fresh bamboo shoots just picked. Her every heavy step echoed in the peaceful atmosphere of the countryside. Today she went to the market to sell bamboo shoots, a job that is too familiar. But in my heart there are unspeakable thoughts. Tung, a man who has been secretly following her for a long time, took all the courage to express his feelings. Not long ago he came to her. Tu Diep's sincere warm voice. Tu Diep, I've kept this in my heart for too long. I really like you. Tu Diep was stunned. Her heart trembled slightly, but then quickly calmed down. She knew she couldn't return his feelings, because her heart was given to James. But Tung's determined eyes made her confused and I don't know what to say. She bowed her head to avoid his eyes. Tung did not force her to answer immediately. But I know into Tu Diep's heart, there is still a void that he wants to fill. The market that day was like every other day. But on the way back, Tu Diep encountered an unexpected incident. As she walked across a stretch of road, two strange men blocked her way. A smirking person with evil eyes. It seems dangerous for a beautiful girl to go alone, like this. Tu Diep stepped back a few steps, hugging the bundle of bamboo shoots tightly in her arms. She feels insecure. I don't know you guys. Please make way for me. But they had no intention of letting her go easily. A long hand grabbed her arm, made her panic and struggle. Just then a scream rang out. Let her go from afar. Tung rushed like a wind. No need to say more. Mr. Tung knocked out one of the two thugs with a powerful punch. The rest of them were scared and backed away before fleeing the scene. Tu Diep is still in shock. Her two hands trembled as she clung to the bundle of bamboo shoots. Tung hurriedly walked over and put his hand on her shoulder, his voice gentle. Are you okay? Tu Diep looked up at him with eyes glistening with tears. A feeling of gratitude welled up in her heart. Thank you, Tung. Tung smiled and gently took her home. Meanwhile, James, after a long day of surveying the forest, stopped at Tu Diep's house. I don't see you at home. He slowly walked into the yard, his eyes filled with thought. See, the chickens are squawking. He quietly rolled up his sleeves and held a knife to help her cut bananas. Image of a rich CEO sitting in the middle of a country yard. Work hard like a real farmer. If anyone sees it, they will be surprised. After cutting banana, James sat under the grapefruit tree, leisurely peel a grapefruit to wait for her to come home. But before he could eat, he heard the sound of a motorbike from afar. Looking out the gate, he saw Tu Diep getting out of the car, followed by Tung. James froze, his eyes darkening. Tu Diep just had a terrible experience. James's expression was not recognized. She walked up before the voice could say Rod. James spoke up. Where have you been? Tu Diep blinked. Noticed the coldness in his tone. I went to sell bamboo shoots and had a little trouble on the way home. Luckily, Tung helped. James turned Tung with a suspicious look. So coincidental? Tung did not avoid that gaze. On the contrary, he smiled. There is no coincidence. I was there for her when she needed help. The atmosphere between the two men was tense, to the point of suffocation. Tu Diep stood in the middle and clearly felt the confrontation that was erupting. James squeezed the grapefruit peel in his hand. The thoughts in his head were tangled. Ren, I can't deny that Tung is a good man. And the appearance of Tung made him feel uneasy. For the first time in his relationship with Tu Diep, the war between the two men officially begins. Will James keep his love? Or will Tu Diep's heart gradually be shaken? The atmosphere was tense between James and Tung. Covering the small yard, Tu Diep stands between two men, feel the confrontation in their eyes. She understood James was suspicious, but she doesn't want this relationship to turn into a war. James threw the grapefruit peel on the table, his eyes gradually turning cold. Thanks for taking her home, but next time I will take care of it myself. His voice is not loud, but every word carries the meaning of asserting sovereignty. Tung smiled slightly, but his eyes were straight at James. I help her not because anyone allows me to, but because I want to. Tu Diep tightened her shirt. She can feel it clearly. The two men in front of her were like two predators, secretly observing and probing the opponent. James, don't misunderstand. Mr. Tung only helps me when I'm in trouble. She spoke up to lighten the mood. James turned to look at her. His eyes were not as warm as usual, but carries a ray of hurt. Do you misunderstand or not? I don't know. That sentence made Tu Diep's heart ache. She didn't want James to be sad. Also do not want her hurt Tung. But clearly this situation was beyond her control. Tung shrugged, looked at James with calm eyes, but could not hide the provocation. He said, no misunderstanding, so just go, I go first. He turned and walked out the gate. But before leaving he whispered into Tu Diep's ear. Think about what you say. Those words were like a small needle piercing James's cage. He stood still, watching Tung's back as he left, and conscious hand clenched. After Tung left, James said nothing more. Just stand up quietly, looked around the yard, and then back into the kitchen. Tu Diep was confused and followed him. What are you doing? I was going to cook dinner, but maybe you don't need me here anymore. That sentence made Tu Diep shocked. She walked up and took his hand. James, don't say that, you know I love you. I looked at her deeply and smiled faintly. So what? But I ever thought if one day have you left me yet too? Tu Diep was startled. She never thought of that. But James thought of. Since the day he met her, his life has changed completely. He is no longer a cold CEO. Work only. But become a loving man, appreciate the simple things. But I also understand love can be shaken at any time. Especially when there is another man willing to protect her whenever you are not around. Are you afraid of losing me? Tu Diep asked softly. James did not reply immediately. A gentle breeze blew by, carrying a faint grapefruit scent. I'm not afraid of losing you, but I don't want to see you waver. Tu Diep felt the hurt in his voice. She clenched her hands, moaning, her eyes filled with tears. I will not waver. No matter what happens, I will always be by your side. James looked at her, his eyes softening. He gently hugged her, but deep in the heart, the insecurity has not completely disappeared. Because this war has just begun. After that gentle hug, James said nothing more. Held it deep tightly in his arms. but in his heart an undercurrent was surging. The feeling of insecurity grew, especially when James realized Tung was not simple, just a good friend of Tu Diep. After dinner, James decided to return to the company to settle some work, but when Ra reached the gate, he suddenly stopped and turned to look at the house. Under the pale yellow light, Tu Diep was cleaning the dining table. Her face looked pensive. James sighed softly. He didn't want to doubt her, but the appearance of Tung makes him unable to calm down, as before when he left. He had only one thought in his heart: you have to clear this up. The next day, Tu Diep was taking bamboo shoots to the market to sell. As usual, she didn't know that there was someone silently following her. Tung stood not far from her, his eyes full of thoughts. I have known Tu Diep for a long time, but only when she and James are together. I just realized my feelings. He couldn't stand just looking at her silently. Belonged to someone else. That afternoon, when the leaves finished selling and were preparing to go home, Tung suddenly appeared. Mr. Tung, she was surprised. I wait for you. Tung smiled, but his eyes were more serious than ever. Two people walked together on the path leading home. The afternoon breeze blew gently through the trees, but Tu Diep's heart was heavy. When you feel something is about to happen, and then in the midst of the red sunset, Tung stopped, turned away, and looked at her deeply. Tu Diep, I love you. Tu Diep was startled. Mr. Tung. Mister. I know it's probably too late to say this, but he couldn't keep it inside anymore. Tu Diep was confused and took a step back. But she already had James. I know. Tung smiled lightly, but that smile was full of pain. But are you sure James is the one who will bring you happiness, or not? Tu Diep was stunned. What do you mean? Tu Diep looked at her and his voice dropped. James is a good man, but his world is too complicated. Have you ever thought about one day I will have to leave him because of the storms? Tung's words were like a knife, stabbing the Diep's heart. She doesn't want to doubt her love, but what happened made her unable to deny that. Next to James, there is never peace. I don't know. Next to her, mumbling, Tung stepped closer, his eyes filled with passion. If one day you feel tired, I will always be here. Tu Diep clenched her fist. She doesn't want to hurt Tung, but she couldn't betray James either. Brother Tung, I'm sorry. She turned and left, but her heart was filled with turmoil. Next, how will Tu Diep and James' mood change will be in the next part. Thank you for watching this story. Please subscribe to follow the next episode.